So could you just start by telling us about your motivation for applying to the NIF, how you found out about it?
So I applied in 2009, and how did I find out about it is a good question. I had finished my PhD, I had come back to India, and was looking for jobs, and I'm now trying to remember who forwarded it to me or what, but it was one of the very few things available for academic writing, and especially academic writing post 1947. So I remember, one of the early, the advertisements or the information on the fellowship, it gave this, I think maybe in the EPW, that's where possibly I came to know about it, the Economic and Political Weekly. That, and I think it was also discussed in yesterday's meeting, that there is a lot of disciplinary writing on colonial India and, more historical time periods. But there was really very little on contemporary India and trying to make sense of the trends. History was pre-1947 and political science would be contemporary. And there was nothing, nobody talking along those boundaries. And my work, it was trying to look at agrarian change in central India, basically from the 1970s onwards. So 1970s to the early 2000s. I finished my fieldwork in 2008. So that's when, I felt it was just really perfect. I'd finished my dissertation too. It was really a way to convert the dissertation into a book. And that's how I applied for it.
Yeah. And then in terms of what you pitched when you initially had applied and how that evolved into the book, or I guess since it's been a while, then you can talk about also how maybe the book or the idea of the book has evolved for you since its publishing.
So when I pitched it, it was going to be a book more around questions of development, because my dissertation was looking at technology and development. But as I started writing it and as I started putting it together, I realized that development was not the only frame which I could really use to talk about. My book was trying to look at information technology, the whole IT revolution that had taken place in the 2000s. What were people trying to do with that in the agrarian space? The claim was that we'll use IT, internet, or, at that time it was now from comparison to now, it was very rudimentary technologies. But how would we use that to enhance rural people's livelihoods and, remove intermediaries? And I was trying to study this big company called ITC. They had an agribusiness division. So my dissertation was sort of looking at technology and development sort of a particular frame. But then I realized that for the book is actually a study in agrarian change. So I wrote after finishing my dissertation and after I got the fellowship, 50% of the book was written afterwards, which was actually situating this technology and all these interventions in a longer history of agriculture of that place, of agrarian societies, and trying to look at implications for agricultural laborers, workers, farmers, for women, the caste class, gender questions, and also for ecology. So there was no ecology when I originally put together my proposal, but then ecology became a very important part of the way the book has emerged. So I think that gave me an opportunity to really explore multiple facets of the particular topic I was trying to work on.
Perfect. And in terms of, I wonder if you could talk a little bit about your target audience. And one of our questions is about the main message, but I wondered if you could talk about how your message has maybe evolved since the publishing of the book.
So my target audience, that book was an academic book, trying to fulfill an academic gap. In terms of writing on contemporary India, contemporary agrarian India, because up until then, within agrarian studies, you had books that were anthropological monographs. So you take villages and you write about particular villages, or you had, economists writing about, again, either village studies or maybe region studies in specific ways. But there was nobody linking together, situating contemporary trends in a historical perspective and bringing together questions of ecology and technology into the picture. So the book is really an interdisciplinary intervention in this particular space. So the audience was really a scholarly audience. But what has been very interesting for me after writing that book is that, I have this real, in the process of writing the book and in the process of doing my field work, I realized that, while I was thinking about agriculture and technology, the real impacts of agriculture and technology on our lives have been on our health and on the ecologies that we live in. And so since then, I've been wanting to write a book actually looking at the relationships between agriculture, food, nutrition, and health. And that's something that now I'm trying to work on.
Perfect. And then on the whole interdisciplinary point, could you talk a little bit about your writing process? I mean, how that evolved through writing it. I know it's a complicated thing to balance, but you're saying that you wanted to focus on it being quite academic. So did you try and balance that out in any way, if that makes sense?
Balance in the sense of...
In the sense of like accessibility, readability with the academic side, if that was a challenge to try and route through during your writing process.
So, I've actually always believed in writing in an accessible way. At least I try to, or I think that I write in an accessible way. And one of the interesting things about my book is if you look at the table of contents, each chapter is an alliteration. So it's deceptions of development, integral intermediaries, perils of productivity. So, in that sense, so a constancy of crisis. So I've tried to pay attention to, and this is a skill that one has to learn, right? So I was very lucky to get input during my PhD in terms of thinking also about my writing style. Not many academics are lucky enough to get those kinds of inputs. And so there's some very nice books on writing that I looked up that taught me, reduce your paragraph size, never write in passive voice, try and write in active voice, remove, the very nice tutorials that then, now it's all online, but then, it shows you extra words. How do you cut out extra words in a paragraph? How do you identify extra words in a paragraph? Or how do you use a simpler word for a more complicated word? As academics, we are taught, a lot of our undergrads are taught that the more fancy language you use, the more highly people will think of you. But really, for good writing to be accessible to an audience, it's the other way around. The more simple words you use, the more people will actually read you and possibly engage with your ideas. So I consciously tried to do that, and I hope I've succeeded to some degree. I want to now write a more popular book, and so I think I'll be trying to do a lot more of that.
Oh, nice. What do you mean a more popular book?
So I want to write a book on food, coming from this work of mine, because we've always been taught that the Green Revolution was something that saved us from starvation, and like I was mentioning earlier. And the book I want to write is to tell us that actually the Green Revolution has destroyed the kind of food that we had on our plate historically, and it's caused a huge deal of disease and ill health, and we need to sort of reclaim our lost food cultures, our lost food histories, and challenge. This has happened for multiple reasons, but a lot of it is also imitating a Western sensibility in terms of thinking about food systems, in terms of thinking what we want to do in our agriculture, in terms of privileging certain technologies of food growing, but also food processing. We're just assuming it's come from the West, it's come from science, it's technology, so it's good for us. But it's really been very bad for the nutrition on our plates and for our own health. So that's the kind of story I want to write, so that young people read it and then they can actually in some ways work with communities to think about how do we transform our food systems to bring our health back.
So sort of like a cultural history for young students with this.
Cultural, economic, again, it'll be across disciplines. It is about historically situating, how and why are we eating that burger or pizza, or how and why the samosa that we are eating today has the aloo in it and has this maida-based layer in it and is fried in palm oil. It's not bad because it's oil, but it's not really good because it's this highly refined processed palm oil. Or that all the mithais earlier that we were making, we were using gur or khand or some other forms of sweeteners, but now it's all white sugar, which is really problematic for us in terms of the huge linkage to diabetes and various other kinds of issues, or the loss of fiber in our diets completely. And the epidemic of piles that you're seeing in society. Nobody talks about piles, but a huge implication is the loss of fiber. We are no longer eating fibrous foods anymore. All our grains are so highly polished that the fiber is all gone. It's only starch that's left in our wheat and rice. So all of these stories need to be told, and we need to understand what we are eating. And it's not just about, Western foods have come into our diet, and a lot of it is that, we are just imitating the West. But our own foods have changed. Like the ghar pe jo aata hum leke aate hain, that itself is a problematic product from an industrial system. So
it'd be a pan-India focus? Or?
Yeah. This would be sort of a pan-India, very generic, short book on, our food system. And where does it come from, and where should it go possibly?
Very interesting. I mean, yeah, it's a perspective I have not come across at all. Yeah. So just to close, could you talk a little bit explicitly about how the NIF helped you during your journey, since your journey?
It was very early. The NIF helped in two very important ways. Since I was a 2009 fellow and this larger ecosystem did not exist, one was the deadline. I had the deadline, and so I finished the book. And second was the feedback from Professor Ramachandra Guha. So he read through my manuscript and he gave excellent feedback, and I think that was very useful for me.
Perfect. Wonderful. That's all the questions I have. Anything else you'd like to say?
No, this was nice. Really nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you as well. Thank you.
Okay.